I want you guys to pause the video, have a good look at these two watches here, and tell me which one is fake. Typically, the magnification is 2.5 times. It changes per model, but on a sub and a GMT, it's about 2.5 times. Both of these have it. Down here, we have an etched Rolex crown. That's another sign of fake. A randomized serial number down the bottom here. And then you've got the fit and finish of the whole watch itself. It's a Submariner, which is fake, but this is a 1-to-1 clone. This feels surprisingly good. And you can see it's got a full balance bridge. We've got the red wheels. You've even got the skeletonized rotor with the Rolex logo etched into it. This is actually better than I expected.
Damn, I feel more frightened now. The game has lifted, hasn't it?
It is. And this further highlights why you have to buy from a dealer that is reputable.
Most Swiss watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas often look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory. So when you think Swiss made, you're imagining this bespoke factory in Switzerland with mountains in the background, with artisans working really hard to make exquisite timepieces. That's not the case. So how do they get away with calling it Swiss made if most of it is manufactured in China? Well, it's a little loophole where as long as 60% of the total cost of construction happens in Switzerland, they can call it Swiss made. Almost all of the movement's the thing that makes this thing tick, is done in China, and then they'll take one component that might be a little bit more expensive. Usually it's something like the rotor, the thing that makes it automatically wind, and they'll just slap that on, and they'll make sure that that is 60% of the cost. Now, it also has to be manufactured in Switzerland, but what does that actually mean? It just means that they have to put this little crystal on here, the lens of the watch. As long as they slap that on in Switzerland, they can call it a Swiss watch.
The $20,000 timepiece adorning your wrist right now? There's a 95% chance it originated from a single city in China, regardless of what the elegant engraving on its face might suggest. Welcome to China, the true horological capital of our planet. That prestigious Swiss heritage we've all been sold? It's time to examine just how much of that narrative actually ticks true. Have you ever wondered about those immaculately crafted timepieces with 5-figure price tags? Are those $20,000 Rolexes genuinely handcrafted treasures from picturesque Swiss workshops? Or did they discreetly emerge from massive production lines in China alongside thousands of identical siblings? The luxury watch industry guards its secrets carefully, but the curtain is finally being pulled back.
95% of the world's watches are made here, including the one you're wearing right now. Many big brand watches are produced or sourced for parts from here. This place is Shenzhen City, the world watch capital city.
Consider what you're investing: $4,400 for a Tudor Black Bay monochrome, nearly $10,000 for a Rolex Submariner, or a staggering $36,000 for a Royal Oak Extra Thin. These are not casual purchases by any definition. Yet the waters surrounding their origins have become increasingly murky. The landscape of luxury watchmaking is experiencing a seismic shift as Chinese manufacturers increasingly expose industry practices that were once carefully guarded secrets. What previously existed as whispered rumors has evolved into public revelations.
And in Shenzhen, you must not miss this factory.
Social media platforms are flooded with unboxing videos, and Shenzhen factories are abandoning their previous discretion. The information they're revealing is sending shockwaves through the industry that Swiss brands can no longer easily dismiss. Too many details have emerged, creating an uncomfortable situation for traditional watchmakers. Controversy reached such intensity that Rolex took the unprecedented step of announcing significant price reductions on several of their most coveted models, a move that left collectors and industry insiders astonished.
You pay $4,400 for a mid-test Tudor Black Bay monochrome. You pay almost $10,000 for a Rolex Submariner. And a Royal Oak Extra Thin, it costs like $36,000. Cheap is not a word that applies.
Before we delve into the revelations, evidence, and industry drama, let's rewind to understand the epicenter of this controversy. It's time to visit the true watchmaking capital of the world, and contrary to popular belief, it's not nestled among the Swiss Alps. Most of us grew up believing the narrative that superior timepieces originate exclusively from Switzerland. That's what marketing has taught us for generations. The romanticized image we've been sold, picturesque Swiss mountain workshops where skilled artisans with magnifying loupes meticulously craft each Rolex by hand, is increasingly appearing more fairy tale than reality. Welcome to the truth. Shenzhen, China stands as the authentic global capital of watchmaking. This isn't hyperbole. An astounding 95% of all timepieces worldwide are manufactured in China, with Shenzhen producing an enormous portion of that total. We're not discussing obvious counterfeits here.
Asking y'all should receive. Tisa, where are the watch manufacturers? I did some digging and I found the watch manufacturers. There is a new scandal coming out of the luxury watch division.
These factories produce components using premium materials, sophisticated dials, perfectly polished bracelets, genuine sapphire crystal, ceramic bezels, everything you'd expect in luxury timepieces. These are legitimate, high-quality parts manufactured in quantities that Swiss production simply cannot match. Here's where the narrative becomes particularly controversial. Certain Shenzhen facilities are reportedly producing components for prestigious brands like Omega, Tag Heuer, Tissot, and possibly even contributing to Rolex's supply chain.
It's often blurred. However, when you come to Guangzhou, you cannot see any problem just by looking at the appearance. What you need to be careful about is that the low quality movement inside will be sold at a high price.
My suggestion is you can try it first or buy it for a legal way. I'm Sean. See you next time.
This isn't about those obvious imitations you might find at street markets. These timepieces are constructed using authentic components, allegedly from the identical factories supplying major brands. The only missing element? The official Swiss certification. And here's the most surprising development: some of these manufacturing facilities are abandoning secrecy. They're publicly showcasing their capabilities and accepting custom orders directly from consumers. This means you could potentially bypass the authorized boutique experience and connect directly with the source of your luxury timepiece. This raises an important question. If your luxury watch is primarily assembled in China, how can it legally display Swiss-made? The answer reveals one of the most clever regulatory loopholes in the luxury goods industry. That prestigious Swiss-made designation prominently displayed on watch dials. The mark that conveys excellence, heritage, and justifies premium pricing?
Listen, if you want to keep going to Rolex, if you want to keep going to AP and spending your money, go and do that. However, industry insiders are coming out, and I have their videos. People have even been fired from it for lifting the hood away from
Doesn't signify what most consumers assume. According to Swiss regulations, only 60% of a watch's value must originate from Switzerland to qualify for this designation. Notice the critical distinction: value, not physical components. What constitutes value under these regulations? Brand prestige, marketing expenses, research costs, and even just the final assembly process once components arrive in Switzerland. Consider this scenario. A Shenzhen factory manufactures an Omega case, bracelet, dial, and most other components, shipping them nearly complete. A worker in Switzerland then installs the movement, performs final finishing touches, and suddenly it's officially Swiss-made. The result? You're paying $6,000 for a timepiece largely manufactured in China but transformed through Swiss branding and finishing touches. This isn't a recent development. The luxury watch industry has operated this way for years. What began as insider discussions on forums gradually migrated to social media, and now it's exploding with industry exposés that resemble investigative documentaries. A former employee of a major Swiss watch brand claims he was terminated simply for asking too many questions about manufacturing practices. He specialized in restoring vintage timepieces from the 1970s and discovered that numerous components were already being sourced from Asia during that era.
Most Swiss watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas often look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory.
He provided photographic evidence showing bracelets, hands, and dials all manufactured in China. As for the movements, sometimes they were genuinely Swiss, but other times they were inexpensive quartz mechanisms added at the final stage. The implications of these revelations extend far deeper than initially apparent. You might wonder why the mainstream media hasn't extensively covered this controversy. The explanation is straightforward. The luxury watch industry commands enormous financial resources. Major publications receive millions in advertising revenue from Rolex, Omega, Cartier, and other brands. It's unlikely they would risk these lucrative relationships by exposing industry practices. Watch influencers face even greater conflicts of interest. These individuals receive all expenses-paid trips to Basel World, complimentary timepieces, and VIP treatment at exclusive brand events. Few would jeopardize their status and benefits to reveal uncomfortable truths. This is why independent content creators, YouTubers, social media personalities, and anonymous industry workers are now driving the conversation, revealing what happens behind the carefully cultivated luxury facade. Just when Rolex appeared untouchable, they made an unexpected move that shocked the industry. They reduced their prices. While not across their entire catalog, the reductions were significant enough to prompt widespread speculation.
They offer a wider range of styles to choose from, maintain strict production standards, and can support customization starting from just 50 pieces. What? Worry about them as just middlemen? You contact them directly.
Industry forums and high-end dealers report that certain Rolex models, including the Submariner, GMT Master 2, and select Oyster Perpetuals, experienced price reductions of up to 20% in specific markets. Interestingly, these happen to be the same models gaining popularity in the replica market. Coincidence? Unlikely. Rolex didn't announce these reductions through a major marketing campaign that would contradict their carefully cultivated image of exclusivity. Instead, the price adjustments were implemented discreetly, primarily through authorized dealers in select locations. But enthusiasts immediately noticed, especially since these changes followed shortly after Chinese factory videos went viral, footage showing Rolex-style cases and bezels being packaged and shipped by the thousands from a Longgang district warehouse. Let's be realistic, luxury brands don't arbitrarily reduce prices. Especially not Rolex, a company whose business model depends on perceived scarcity, exclusivity, and aspirational status. Timing of these discrete price adjustments, coinciding precisely with supply chain revelations, has left the luxury watch community unsettled. The entire luxury goods ecosystem depends on maintaining an aura of mystery and creating desire for seemingly unattainable items. This illusion is now rapidly disintegrating.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes your wrist slimmer, while a larger one makes you a stronger era. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex Data Dress is the best choice for cost-effective.
Consumers are increasingly bypassing traditional retail channels entirely. They're connecting through private messaging platforms, Telegram groups, WeChat circles, and exclusive WhatsApp communities. Complete manufacturing facilities are engaging directly with customers, even fulfilling custom luxury specifications for a fraction of retail prices. The terminology has evolved beyond simple replicas. The industry now uses sophisticated designations: factory direct, B-grade, homage pieces, same-line releases, parallel builds, or unbranded OEM, original equipment manufacturer. This translates to, we manufactured it, but legally cannot claim we produced it for Rolex. The sophistication has increased dramatically from earlier counterfeiting operations. One whistleblower even alleged that certain Chinese suppliers receive excess materials from legitimate Rolex production orders. Rather than discarding these surplus components, they complete the assembly process and distribute the finished products through unofficial channels. These aren't basic imitations, they're essentially identical to authorized products, lacking only the final brand approval. Let's shift our focus to the financial aspects of luxury watchmaking.
I'm going to Fire Herald.
Why?
The watch is a fake.
What's fake about it?
According to the serial number,
it doesn't correspond to that.
For brands operating under conglomerates like Swatch Group, Richemont, and LVMH, profit margins typically range between 10% and 20%. While substantial, these figures pale compared to technology and pharmaceutical sectors. Apple maintains a 32% margin, Microsoft achieves 38%, and Novo Nordisk, the company behind popular weight management medications, reaches an impressive 39%. Suddenly, that $15,000 Rolex doesn't seem quite as extravagant. However, don't develop sympathy for Rolex just yet. They're still extremely profitable. Rolex operates with extraordinary discretion regarding their financials. Unlike publicly traded companies, they don't disclose financial statements. Why? because technically they function as a non-profit foundation, perhaps the most surprising revelation in this industry expose. However, their non-profit status certainly doesn't mean they're not generating significant revenue. This brings us to the critical question: what's the actual production cost of a luxury timepiece? Industry insiders suggest that a watch retailing for $6,000 might cost between $1,200 and $1,500 to manufacture, less than 25% of the final price. This calculation precedes additional dealer markups and luxury premiums. This leads us to the fundamental question that emerges from this industry examination. Are luxury watches genuinely overpriced? The answer is nuanced and complex. If your expectations center on purchasing pure craftsmanship, innovation, and heritage, you might find the reality disappointing. Not every luxury timepiece represents the engineering masterpiece its marketing suggests. Some brands assemble pre-manufactured components, apply their prestigious logo, double the price, and release it to the market. They're capitalizing on reputation rather than revolutionary design. While certain watches genuinely represent horological art, others merely benefit from established brand recognition. However, and this is significant, once you fully understand what your investment represents, the perspective changes entirely. You're not simply purchasing stainless steel and sapphire crystal. You're acquiring status, recognition, and silent prestige, the subtle acknowledgement when you enter a room and others notice what adorns your wrist. For many collectors and enthusiasts, that experience is invaluable. So, are luxury watches overpriced? Technically, yes. But emotionally and socially? That determination rests entirely with you. When you comprehend the truth behind the pricing structure, manufacturing processes, markups, and marketing strategies, you possess genuine consumer power. You can decide whether the prestige justifies the premium. The authority doesn't reside with the brand or the product, it resides with you, the informed consumer. What's your perspective on luxury watches? Are they worth the investment, or has this information changed your view? Share your thoughts in the comments below.